Hey there, meet David. He's just a normal teenager who spends his days chilling with sheep and playing the harp. He isn't a fierce warrior. He doesn't have a gym membership, and he definitely doesn't have a massive sword. Meanwhile, his older brothers are off at a massive standoff against the ultimate rival army, the Philistines. David's dad gives him a simple mission. Go take some bread and cheese to your brothers at the front lines. David's like, sure, Dad. Easy peasy. A little road trip sounds fun. But when he arrives at the camp, he notices everyone is shaking in their boots. Literally. That's when David looks across the valley and sees him. The ultimate, absolute unit. Enter Goliath. A massive, terrifying giant standing over 9 feet tall, wearing a mountain of bronze armor. Goliath looks down and yells, "Send out your best guy to fight me. Winner takes all." And then Goliath just starts laughing and insulting them, daily, for 40 straight days. The entire Israelite army is completely terrified. No one wants a piece of this guy. But David? David looks around and asks, wait, why is everyone running away from this bully? His oldest brother gets super annoyed and snaps, "Go back to your little sheep, kid. You're just conceited." But David doesn't back down. He says, "Who is this guy to defy the army of the living God?" Word travels fast in a panicked camp. Soon King Saul himself hears about this brave kid. King Saul summons David to his tent. Saul is the king, so he's supposed to be the biggest, toughest guy around. David walks in, looks the king in the eye, and casually says, "Don't worry, your majesty. I'll go fight him." Saul looks at David, looks at his scrawny arms and says, "Kid, you're a boy." He's been a warrior since birth. David smiles and says, "Look, I've rescued my sheep from lions and bears. God saved me then and he'll save me now." Saul realizes he has 0 other options. He sighs and says, "All right, go, and may the Lord be with you." But then Saul says, "Wait, you can't go out there naked. You need a blueprint for success. You need my armor." This was the best armor in the kingdom. Heavy, expensive, and completely top-tier protection. David thinks, well, he is the king, so he probably knows best. Let's give it a shot. So they start lifting the heavy pieces and strapping them onto poor, tiny David. And this is where things get absolutely hilarious. First comes the helmet. It's massive. They drop it onto David's head. David is now standing in total darkness, blinking inside a giant metal bucket. Next, they strap on the heavy bronze coat of mail. It weighs more than David does. David looks like a tiny turtle trapped inside a giant metallic golden shell. Then they fasten a massive sword to his side. The scabbard drags heavily on the ground. Saul steps back, proud of his work, and says, "Perfect. Now you look like a real warrior." David tries to take a single step forward to test it out. Clank! He stumbles instantly. The armor is so stiff he can't even bend his knees. Crash! David falls flat on his face, the giant sword clattering loudly against the floor. Saul and the guards just stare in awkward, stunned silence. David struggles to wiggle his arms. He can't even get back up on his own. He thinks, this is ridiculous. If I go out there like this, Goliath won't even need to hit me. I'll just trip and die. With a massive effort, David shimmies out of the heavy bronze coat. He stands up, stretches his free arms, and takes a deep, glorious breath. He looks at King Saul and says, "I cannot go in these, because I am not used to them." Think about it. Saul's armor was built for Saul's body and Saul's style of fighting. It wasn't meant for David. If David tried to fight like the king, he would have failed before the battle even started. David realized a powerful truth. You can't fight your life's battles using someone else's blueprint. So David completely rejects the traditional warrior look. He decides to just be David. Instead of a sword, he grabs his trusty old wooden staff that he uses every day. Then, he walks down to a nearby stream, looking for his own version of ammunition. He bends down and carefully selects 5 smooth, ordinary stones from the water. He puts the 5 stones into his simple shepherd's bag hanging at his side. And finally, he pulls out his ultimate weapon, a simple leather slingshot. No armor, no helmet, no shield, just a teenager, a sling, and 5 smooth rocks. The entire Israelite army watches him walk out into the valley whispering, "This kid has lost his mind." But David isn't looking at their worried faces. He's looking straight ahead at the giant. Goliath sees this little stick figure approaching and looks around to see if this is a joke. Goliath notices the wooden staff and roars, "Am I a dog, that you come at me with sticks?" Goliath curses David by his gods, promising to feed him to the birds. He expected a champion in heavy armor. Instead, he got a boy in a basic tunic. But David doesn't tremble. He stands his ground and delivers one of the most epic speeches in history. David shouts, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin. But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel." David adds, "Today everyone will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves." Goliath gets furious, loses his patience, and starts charging heavily toward David. David doesn't run away. In fact, he does the opposite. He runs quickly toward the battle line. As he runs, David reaches into his bag and pulls out a single smooth stone. He drops the stone into the leather pocket of his sling, never breaking his stride. He starts swinging the sling above his head, faster and faster until it's a total blur. Goliath is getting closer, raising his giant weapon, completely unprotected behind his helmet's visor. David lets it rip. Whoosh! The stone flies through the air like a literal bullet. It flies straight across the valley, tracking perfectly toward its giant target. Smack! The stone hits Goliath right square in the middle of his forehead. Goliath's eyes instantly turn into dizzy spirals. His entire giant body freezes. The giant tilts forward, slowly at first, and then falls face first into the dirt. Thud! The ground literally shakes as the ultimate giant is completely defeated. The Philistine army looks at their champion on the floor, absolutely paralyzed with shock. The Israelite army erupts into massive cheers, realizing the kid actually did it. David stands over the giant, holding his simple sling, taking a deep breath. The entire battle was over in a matter of seconds, all because of one boy's simple trust. So, why does this classic story matter to you today? Let's break it down. Every single day we face our own versions of giants, anxiety, massive goals, or overwhelming problems. And just like David, well-meaning people will try to hand you their heavy armor to fight them. They'll tell you, "You have to use my exact strategy, my exact personality, or my exact blueprint to win." But when you try on their armor, you realize it doesn't fit. It clunks, it's heavy, and it completely paralyzes you. Trying to copy someone else's strengths only highlights your own weaknesses. David didn't win by being a second-rate King Saul. He won by being a first-rate David. He trusted the simple tools he already knew how to use, his everyday shepherd's gear. God didn't make a mistake when he designed your specific personality, gifts, and background. You don't need a massive, shiny sword to conquer your giants. You just need your 5 smooth stones. Your smooth stones might be your unique creativity, your kindness, or your ability to listen. Don't let the world convince you that your simple tools are too small to make a difference. When you couple your unique, authentic gifts with trust in God, giants don't stand a chance. Authenticity isn't just a trendy buzzword. It's literally your secret weapon in life. So, the next time you feel completely overwhelmed by a massive problem, take a deep breath, step back, and take off the heavy armor people are forcing on you. Look at what is already in your hand. What has God already given you right now? Embrace your inner teenager. Be willing to look a little unconventional to the crowd. The crowd told David he was crazy, but history remembers him as a legendary giant slayer. Stop waiting until you have the perfect professional setup or someone else's expensive gear. Run toward your battle line with exactly what you have today, and don't look back. Your blueprint is already perfectly designed for the specific victory meant for you. Trust your sling, pick up your stones, and watch those giant problems completely tumble down. Thanks for watching. Stay authentic, drop a like, and go conquer your giants today.